You know how they say a single moment can change everything? Well, have you ever thought about how a single childhood memory can literally define your whole life? That's what we're diving into today. We're looking at two powerful stories from totally different parts of the world where one moment of injustice planted the seeds of a lifelong rebellion. It's pretty incredible. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's meet our two protagonists. They're incredible women, but from completely different worlds. First up, you have Zikala Sa. She's a Native American writer, and we're talking late 19th century America. Her battle? It's against cultural assimilation. Then, on the other side of the globe, we have Bama. She's a Tamil Dalit writer in modern India, and she's up against the brutal system of caste discrimination. So yeah, totally different times, totally different places, but they share this one powerful thing: a fight against oppression. And look, these aren't just some made-up tales. No, these are powerful, true, autobiographical accounts. We're actually going to step right into their childhoods, see the world through their eyes, and pinpoint the exact moments that lit the fire of their defiance. So, before we go any further, what does marginalized even mean? Well, think of it like this. It's being pushed to the very edges of society. You're denied power, you're denied resources, you're even denied basic respect. This isn't just a footnote. It's the silent, crushing backdrop to both of their stories. It's the why behind the terrible things they were about to face. All right, so for both of these young girls, their first big taste to the outside world, it was a complete shock to the system. I mean, a truly jarring experience. Suddenly, they're thrown into this world of bizarre rules, of hidden meanings, and a kind of cruelty that, as a kid, you can't even begin to wrap your head around. Just try to imagine this for a second. Put yourself in her shoes. For Zakala Sa, showing up at the Carlisle Indian School wasn't just new. It was a total sensory assault. You've got these loud clanging bells, the weird clatter of shoes she'd never heard before, all these voices murmuring a language she doesn't understand. She literally calls it a bedlam, a chaotic nightmare where she felt her spirit was completely trapped. This wasn't a school, you guys. It was a prison made of noise and confusion. Now, Bama's world, wow. At first glance, it seems like the total opposite. Her walk home from school was supposed to take, 10 minutes? But it would turn into an hour. Why? Because she was just captivated by everything happening on her street. I'm talking performing monkeys, snake charmers, street plays, colorful stalls selling snacks. It was this vibrant, fascinating world that to her was just filled with joy and wonder. But see, that's the sneaky thing about systemic oppression, isn't it? It can hide in plain sight. And right there, just underneath the surface of this lively, fun, entertaining street, Bama was about to stumble upon a hidden, humiliating truth, one that would shatter her view of the world forever. And this is where things get really intense. This is where we see how these systems of power can take the most ordinary, everyday things and twist them into weapons of humiliation. For Zikalasa, it was her hair, and for Balma, it was a simple packet of snacks. Okay, so to really get the gut punch of what happens next, you have to understand something really important about her culture. For Zitkalasa's people, long hair wasn't just a hairstyle. It was a symbol of strength, of pride. You only cut your hair short if you were mourning. And shingled hair, roughly chopped off, that was a mark of a coward. It was something they did to captured warriors to humiliate them. It was a profound symbol of shame. And then it happens. Just listen to the words she uses to describe it: cold blades and gnaw off. I mean, that is so violent. It's completely dehumanizing. They weren't just giving her a haircut. No way. They were trying to literally sever her from her culture, from her identity, from her own mother. And her words after: "Then I lost my spirit." It was a soul-crushing act, a deliberate attempt to force her to assimilate. Now, let's switch back to Bama's world. Here, the rules of oppression were invisible, but they were just as rigid, just as cruel. And it was all about one thing: touch. The whole rotten idea of untouchability was that a person from a lower caste, like Bama's family, could pollute someone from an upper caste just by touching them, or, get this, even by touching something they were about to handle. So one day, Bama sees this elder from her community carrying a packet of vadais. Those are like delicious fried snacks for his landlord. But the way he's carrying it is weird. He's holding it out by the string, super carefully, making sure his body doesn't touch the packet at all. Now, to a little kid, this looks absolutely hilarious, right? Like some kind of funny game. But then her older brother, Anand, explains the devastating truth. If the man touched the packet, the landlord will consider the food polluted. And just like that, what seemed funny becomes tragic. And right here, this is the turning point. Because humiliation can do one of two things, right? It can break you or it can forge you into a fighter. And for both Sitkalasa and Bama, these moments of absolute indignity, they sparked the very first flames of defiance. So when another girl tells Sitkalasa, hey, we just have to give in, they're stronger, she just refuses. Her response is so immediate, so visceral. It's an absolute, no, I will not submit. I will struggle first. And she does. She hides, she ticks, she scratches. And even though she's just a little kid against a bunch of powerful adults, her spirit of resistance is born right there, in that physical struggle. Bama's rebellion looks a little different. It's internal at first, but believe me, it is just as fierce. The sheer absurdity, the blatant injustice of it all just provokes this deep, simmering anger in her. And what's her first instinct? She wants to march right over and touch those wretched Vidais herself. It's this raw desire to just break the stupid rule, to shatter the taboo, and to show how ridiculous the whole system is with one simple defiant act. So here's where we see these two really distinct paths of rebellion, both born from a similar kind of pain, but totally shaped by their circumstances. You've got Sitkalasa, who is physically trapped and assaulted, and so she responds with a physical struggle. It's immediate, it's passionate, and yeah, she's ultimately overpowered. Then you have Bama, who witnesses this social absurdity on her home turf, and her response is an intellectual fury. It's a quieter anger, but it leads her to question everything, to process what happened, and to start looking for a smarter, more strategic way forward. And that strategic path, it comes from this absolutely incredible piece of advice from her brother. He basically lays out a battle plan for her. He says, look, you have to recognize the injustice. We are stripped of our dignity just because of how we were born. But you have to channel that anger. You have to act, study, learn everything you can. If you make progress, if you stand first in your classes, people will have no choice but to respect you. They will come to you. And with that, education becomes her weapon, her way to fight back and throw away those indignities. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that these weren't just, bad days from their childhood. These were formative moments. The cutting of the hair, the bizarre spectacle of the Vadai packet, those were the seeds. And from those seeds grew a lifelong, unwavering commitment to fighting for justice. And it all boils down to this one simple, unbelievably powerful sentence from Barama. But we too are human beings. That right there cuts to the very heart of both of their struggles. It's a declaration, a battle cry against any system that tries to tell you you're less than human because of your race or your caste. It's the fundamental truth that fueled everything they did, a simple demand for basic human dignity. And wow, did they build a legacy. Think about it. That little girl who fought back while they cut her hair, she grew up to be a writer and an activist who took on the very school system that tried to break her. And the little girl who watched the whole Vidaya incident with fury, she became a celebrated author. Her autobiography, Kuruku, gave a powerful, resounding voice to Dalit women who'd been silenced for so long. They both took their childhood pain and transformed it into art. And they turned that art into a weapon to fight the very evils they first saw as children. Which really just leaves us with this one last thought, doesn't it? These stories, they show us that the fight for justice, it doesn't always start in some grand hall of power or with a big protest. So often, it begins in the quiet, observant heart of a child. A child who sees something that is just plain wrong and decides in their own way, no, I will not submit. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What seeds of rebellion are being planted right now, today?